Now, the small form factor PC is mainly an enthusiast market, and there's two things that come into play when you're thinking about those premium level cases. One, availability, and two, price. Firstly, a lot of times they use premium materials, and since they are made in smaller, more specialized runs, they usually come at a price. Sometimes it can cost $250, $300 or up. Now, there was a line of cases that I actually was interested in from a company called Geek, where they had some cases I thought looked really good, and it seemed to be at about half the price of some of the other cases, to where you were looking to spend like $100, maybe $120 instead of $200, $250 or better. Now, one of the main problems with Geek is that you got to put the case together, which is what we'll be doing today. We're going to open this up, put it together. We're not going to do the build in it. I have a build that I'm working on, a more budgety small form factor PC that I'm waiting on one part to come in. We'll talk about parts and all of that stuff at the end of this video, where I'll kind of give you an update, an idea of what we're going to be putting in this thing. But I just want to go ahead and put this together because, one, I've heard that, you know, it's kind of a process to put together Geek cases. So I'm gonna put it together, then I'm gonna see you on the other side and let you know what the process was like, how I feel about it, how the quality is, and what's gonna be going on in this future build. All right, let's get into it. All right, man, there you go. There we have it. We are done. We have the finished build. Well, it's not the finished whole PC build, but the finished case, and it actually looks pretty cool. It's so much smaller than I thought it was. Like I said, I've heard about some of the really small ITX cases, but to see one up close, like I said, this is the standard YouTube plant. Shout out to the big homie JDL, Just Doing Life, Just Doing Audio. He blessed me with the studio plant, the IKEA studio plant the YouTubers love. And look at that. The case is almost smaller than this plant. It really is interesting to think that all of such powerful components could fit in a case this small. This is just crazy to me. It really is. Let's talk about the experience on putting this together and whether I would recommend it to somebody. So right now you can get this case for about $69. It's also recommended to get the $20 PCI riser card for your graphics card, so you can have the vertical GPU instead of, unless you have your own, or maybe you want to source one from somewhere else or whatever. But I would just get the one that comes with theirs. And so it comes out about $89. Then you have shipping, handling, or whatever. So we're looking at around 100 or less for this case. And once you put it together, you start to understand why. A lot of this is plastic and vinyl, like the side panels are vinyl. You do have some aluminum right here in the frame, but most of this is some sort of plastic that goes around the outsides and makes up a lot of the pieces. But once you start putting it together and the pieces form and you get a much more sturdier build, you're like, okay, that's not too bad. They give you everything you need. All I used was this screwdriver. Pulled this one out just because I needed a few torque in some places. We'll talk about that in a second. But I used this simple electric screwdriver that has little to no torque, and everything worked perfectly. Pay attention, use the right screws. Most things just fit into place and you're good to go. Now, what I didn't like about this build is two things, and one of them I was already aware of beforehand, is the peeling of the plastic. Almost every piece in here, other than the aluminum brackets, is covered with like a thin film of plastic on side. So you know, those perfect plastic peels. But it was so hard to catch the edge on some of them, where I spent 2 or 3 minutes just trying to peel the edge off. You don't want to damage the actual piece underneath, so I'm being careful trying to peel just a little bit of the edge so I can catch it and snatch it all off. That took a lot of time, way more time than I would have liked. And I can imagine if this was like your first build in it, to where you're getting that and doing the parts in the PC build at the same time, could be a little bit stressful. Secondly, and this may have more to do with me and how I actually attacked it, making sure everything was pristine, but it was some tolerances just weren't as nice as I wanted them to be. It felt like I had to force and push and prod things to go exactly right, to get a screw in, this, that, and the third. Nothing broke, so, you know, knock on fake wood that nothing will break, but so far nothing broke. Everything is actually fitting here nicely. You install the power button here at the front. It's a nice clicky power button. I really like that. But you see, you got adequate ventilation right here for your GPU on this side and your CPU fans. You should be able to get some nice adequate ventilation. Also here at the top, you should be able to put some fans here to have some exhaust, or maybe if you want to draw cool air in to blow down onto some of your parts, however you want to set it up. But I don't know if you could tell this, it doesn't sit evenly. It doesn't, you see that? Can you see that? It doesn't really sit evenly, and I can tell during the process, at some point, I was like, something's off. Something is not aligning. Oh, the build. Let's talk about what's going to be in the build. It is the Ryzen 5 1600. This is the AF version. It's based off the second gen Ryzen 12 nanometer process that gives you the efficiency of a Ryzen 2600 instead of a 1600. So you're getting that overclocking, you're getting that extra power than the standard Ryzen 1600. 6 cores, 12 threads. You can overclock this for $85. I really don't know if there's any much of a better budget CPU. If you've been watching any builds, every YouTuber I see is throwing this in. They're selling out like crazy because all the YouTubers keep recommending it and throwing it in all their videos. So when I tried to go get one and recommend it and throw it in my video, it took some time for me to get a hold of it. But I got one. We're gonna put this in here, and I also have a GPU coming that should be here pretty soon. So definitely let me know what GPU I think I should be pairing with this Ryzen 1600 AF down below in the comments. But we're gonna get this out, put the build together, and just give you a nice, I think with this being a somewhat budget case when it comes to the small form factor case market, we're gonna use some budget parts. I think it should be a pretty strong build that you don't have to spend a lot of money on. All right, so let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I'll make sure to leave links to everything that I mentioned here. If you want to check out my other videos on the small form factor series, check the links at the end of the video, man. I really appreciate y'all showing your boy some love. I'm gonna get up out of here. It's your Kinfolk Dookie. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and never forget to holler at your boy.